Good day to you. I would like to present my creative action project on nurturing critical thinkers. The inspiration from this project comes from a futurist scan. Broadly, there are three impetuses. Number one, global megatrends, where commerce and industry will be able to access a global talent pool, and even Singapore companies need not be bound to fill their positions locally. Number two, future competencies. TVA Hayes highlighted the importance of individuals learning, adapting, and growing throughout their lives. In particular, critical and inventive thinking is a key enabler for value creation. Number three, vulnerability to misinformation flood. How Singapore youth grow in an open and connected world with inaccurate, misleading information shared everywhere, some possibly by malicious state actors. Hence, our Singapore youth must be able to assess critical thinking skills to succeed in the future economy and participate democratically as lifelong globally and scientifically literate citizens. The objective then is for this CAP is to initiate the social-constructivist process of epistemic critical thinking or CT development. This is in line with the CAP School's refreshed vision, where CT is identified as one of the school's strategic foci to prepare pupils for the VUCA world. Research shows that there are three types of CT: meta-strategic, metacognitive, and epistemic. While epistemic CT, which is about understanding how we know what we know, is greatly transferable across contexts, it is also not foregrounded currently in the school's strategies. Hence, this project serves as an initial exploration for the school to grow its CT development. Three major approaches were taken. It should be social-constructivist, focusing on learners' empowerment through class dialogic processes to co-construct learning as a community, supporting a learner-centered CT culture. It leverages argumentation. Research shows that primary school kids are intuitively able to do so with varying levels of confidence. It adopts the infusion-cum-discipline-specific method, which is in line with the Singapore total curriculum of our approach to CT. Hence, primary school was chosen as a context. To approach the design and implementation process, the ABCDE process was created. It consists of 5 steps: appreciate, build, co-create, deliver, and extend. We will elaborate on this in the following slides. We begin first with appreciating cultures, structures, resources, and profiles. There was a positive and open culture within the science department leaders and teachers. Teachers determined the PRT foci. There was existing learning packages for some levels of claims, evidence, and reasoning, or CER. However, the approach was as a writing frame or scaffold for answering PSLE-style questions. Teachers observed that students struggled with application of CER. The build phase addresses capacity building through sense-making and network learning. We agreed that teachers would benefit from greater clarity about how CER was connected, both within the self and to other aspects of science lessons, thereby strengthening PCK or potentially enhance CT development. Hence, 3 PD sessions were planned in consultation with the department KPs and ST, customized to the identified needs. This customization also led to greater enthusiasm on the part of the team to adopt argumentation. Thirdly, the co-create phase essentially transfers ownership of learning to the P5 PLT, who supported 2 teachers in preparing an argumentation-infused lesson package. The 2 teachers, in fact, came up with 2 different plans for the same lesson. While using the same resources, one version essentially gave students some pre-knowledge of the concepts before the lesson, while the other version let students explore them before teaching the concepts and inviting them to modify their previous answers. The team's enthusiasm was clearly evident. The school requested to learn about the framework for teaching argumentation, which I co-authored while at Mayflower Secondary School. It incorporates research-backed key factors that support a successful lesson employing argumentation for CT, including supporting novices to argumentation and employing engaging pedagogies. Generally, while teachers have not undergone any specialized argumentation course and hence perceive themselves to lack readiness, they will be willing to try the argumentation resources if provided. Hence, the framework and accompanying resources facilitate teachers in doing so. Phase 4, delivery, took place in Term 4 and P5 classes, 1 higher progress and 1 middle progress. In one particular lesson, groups were tasked to move between different learning stations, each with samples of a type of fruit or seed, and make observations to determine the dispersion method, such as wind, water, animal, or explosive action. In addition to dialogic argumentation processes, students also referred to their own notes, or particularly in a class where the concepts had not been taught. previously, tap their own knowledge to construct arguments on their answers.
Fleshy. It has seeds and it's very fleshy. How is this fleshy? No, it's sweet. I remember you say sweet. Like, see, different from this one. Like and thin.
In both classes, the activity was followed by a whole group discussion where students who disagreed with the answers presented by their peers could use CER to share their alternative answers. This fosters epistemic CT. Post-lesson, the teachers reviewed students' worksheet answers and conducted a student survey with 1 quantitative and 3 qualitative questions. The students' open-ended responses were qualitatively coded to determine their opinions of the lessons, without pre-suggesting or constraining them to fixed choices. The students were engaged in a hands-on lesson, and this was corroborated quantitatively, which on the 4-point Likert scale, 94% indicated a medium or high level of enjoyment, with 38% highly enjoying the lesson, some noting they felt like a scientist. Additionally, 19 students could describe how their groups use a CR approach to negotiate meanings and determine answers, which is argumentation that develops CT. When asked where else CER could be applied, more than half of responses saw transferability to the languages, especially in comprehension and oral. This is particularly interesting as CER has so far been used only in science and could point towards greater CT. Finally, a significant proportion found the relevance of CER beyond school. For example, this quoted student used CER in argumentation about animal rights, a promising indicator of CT for a scientifically literate citizenry that we strive to develop. The school teachers also shared their reflections after having conducted the lesson and undergoing the post-lesson discussion. They were happy to see students productively engaged throughout, whether during the argumentation group activity or the whole class discussion. It was rich and meaningful how students made discoveries or managed disagreements. The social constructivist nature was evident as students observed, argued, and reached consensus, indicating a supportive classroom CT culture. Teachers too participated in the process to listen to and incorporate students' points of view. They were bemused when students likened the Sharia food to hippogriffs in Harry Potter or angsana seeds to lifebuoy shapes. While the lesson was satisfying, the teachers agreed that developing CT was contingent on the time afforded for student talk. They chose not to rush the class discussion. The teachers also noted that students' differing readiness regards to argumentation, which is understandable at this stage. For Phase 5 Extend, the school and myself discussed how the work of this prototype could be extended further. Firstly, expand. The teachers were passionate to share with their fellow department mates to cascade their learning to other levels and topics. This extended beyond science. For example, the HODCC shared that the project was relevant also in CC and was interested to explore further. Secondly, integrate. Brain's model could be useful to help learners consolidate their learning, while ICT tools could also capture the rich group discussions for monitoring and feedback. Thirdly, include. The team recognized the need to customize the lesson for different profiles. For example, evidence cards could be used as handles to facilitate CER for students who lack the vocabulary. I will now share my key takeaways. Start with deep listening and be willing to meet teachers at their current readiness or willingness to accurately identify the challenges and help teachers connect the gap to addressing this. Foster teacher agency. The guiding principle was that the team should do whatever they felt was necessary or useful for them and the students, including determining what data to collect. They more than delivered 2 lesson plans for the same lesson and carried out implementation successfully before the school transited to HBL. My part was to facilitate through providing exemplars and feedback. Finally, keep on learning. I had existing knowledge about CT and continued to research the literature for ideas to co-create new value with the team. I would like to thank the school leaders and science department of Zhenghua Primary School for their tremendous support for this project, especially as it took place in a season of heightened measures due to COVID. You have enabled my learning. Thank you too for listening. We'd love to discuss with you if you have any questions or suggestions or to explore possibilities for extending this project in future. Let's continue to give every child a place in our future. Have a great day.